So today's photos are from back in 1989, and I was a junior in high school. They had this thing for graduation that is, as a junior, you could audition and you got to wear your prom dress basically, or a tuxedo or a nice suit if you were a gentleman, and you were the kind of the entry line. You led the graduates in for graduation. It was called Honor Guard. And so that's where those photos are from. I was in an organization called Rainbow Girls, and we wore white dresses in Michigan. And so having a color in my formal gown was just something pretty darn cool. I did not go to my junior prom, so that was a dress for Rainbow, not for prom. I went back into my stash and I found Chelsea Gardens papers, which I absolutely love. And it's funny because I had the pink and white of the formal gown, and I was trying to figure out a way to highlight that, and blues and greens, again with the background of the grass, and we had a big, it was like an evergreen bush beside the steps to our front porch growing up, so I thought that the blue and greens would work. And then with my lace border thin cut, I went ahead and punched, or actually die cut, a whole bunch of those, thinking I would use them stacked as the lace was on my gown. And instead, as I'm feeling this layout and having it come together, I decided to use them, as you see, as a border along the edge. And then the dark gray is the zip strip from the paper packs, and then there's it looks like kind of a herringbone chevron piece, and that was just part of the pattern paper from Chelsea Garden. And so I'm just playing around here trying to figure out what kind of layout I can do. These photos are small. The square one is 3x3 with the matting, and the other two are 2x3 again with the matting. They're just small photos from the 80s. And I have all of these leaves that were in my embellishments. I am an embellishment hoarder, and it has gotten me into trouble, but we're working on it. The silver doilies, I'll call them, were also in my embellishment. So I'm just pulling out stuff and trying to use it up and trying to make beautiful layouts and get pages into books. I had one of my friends ask, I'm really surprised you're concentrating on layouts all of a sudden and not doing as many cards. I have over 500 cards made and in my possession, and I've given thousands away to other organizations like Cards for Kindness and to our church for outreach. And I also have thousands of photos that need to be scrapbooked, and I haven't even printed any since 2013. So that is why my focus is now on layouts. And I'm also very grateful that I have kind of broken through the barrier that I set for myself of everything needed to be 2-page layouts, because putting these 3 little photos on a 2-page layout, it could have been beautiful, and I've seen some beautiful some beautiful layouts with just one photo, one tiny photo at that. But for me, I'm gonna run out of space to hold all of my scrapbook pages that I've done. So I want to tell the story on the pages, but also have photos on my pages. There's enough of the photos where I only have one instance that for telling the story, and others that I have 12 photos to tell the story, and I want to get them onto my layouts, if that makes any sense. So you can see here, this one flower that I just put, leaf that I just put glue on, had a pink background because it was background paper, and I don't even know, I can't remember what set it was from, but I remember when I was doing the project, I went ahead and cut a whole bunch of them, and I had these left. So I'm trying to make sure that I have one of the cardstock leaves on the top, and then I also saved a cardstock leaf for another cluster of the embellishments. These flowers are from the old, I want to say, 3D flower thin cut set, and I fell in love with it. For me, that particular thin cut set allowed so much versatility, and you could create so many different looking flowers. These were thin cut out of white daisy cardstock and then inked with Blossom ink, I believe, just to give that hint of pink. And you can go as dark or as light as you want. I still have this thread on my desk that has a little bit of shimmer to it, and I thought that would work with the silver mirrored paper. And I'm really excited that on the video you're not seeing kind of the reflection of that mirrored doilies behind the photos, because that just kind of whitewashes everything. But this thread has that same sparkle to it, so I'm just trying to get balance there. I cut ahead because for some reason I really struggled with getting the paper off of those tear papers, and I think I was making it more difficult than it needed to be, because once I pressed them together the paper came off easily. I was actually trying to almost unstick them or pull them back apart. So once I figured that out, they came off pretty easily. So here's another one of those leaves that's out of cardstock, and in the video you don't necessarily see the difference in it, but in person you can kind of see that there's a slight color change. And on this one, again, that's the paper, and it will have a pink back that you'll see when I put glue on it. You can kind of see the variegated colors in it, and I think that's great. That kind of just brings some realism to your layout. It gives some movement, some interest without really jumbling the eye too much. I'm just having fun here creating these clusters. I tuck them all in under the flowers. I have 2 more flowers that I did, or that I found in my stash, that are done in this pink color, and I thought about using them, but then I thought I didn't want the flowers to overwhelm the photos. So I have 1 big photo, or a 3x3 photo, and 2 littler ones. So that's what I decided to do with the flowers, is 1 bigger and then 2 of the littles. Here I'm making my little thread cluster, as they say. I like them loopy, and I know other people like them more as a color interest and matted together more. I like mine more open. So I strongly suggest get out some thread, swirl it around, add it under a cluster, and see what you like, see what works for you. It's kind of interesting how our minds work in creating these things, and what we like, and what one person really likes and works well for them, and another person puts together and it works well for them, and yet they're both beautiful works of art. So I always find things like that fascinating. Because I'm at the end of the thread, I wanted to release or loosen the tight coil on it from memory, so that's where I used that scoring tool to kind of rub against the thread and just loosen that tight coil. And here you can see I'm pulling out my loops so that they are more, I don't know, they have a drape to them, if you understand what I mean by that. And I do find it funny because I've watched other people make really tight jumbled mats of their thread, and they look great on their layout. I just haven't been successful at that yet. But I also wasn't successful at layers, and I'm getting better at that. So practice, I guess. And for me, each page that's album ready is a victory. Here I wanted to show you that I went ahead and glued the 2 pieces of this pewter cardstock together and cut 2 times the letters for my title. And so I'm getting 4 layers of cardstock, and I lay it out on my Versamat. And for those of you that can spell and don't have that creative mindset of spelling like I do, I do catch this as I'm editing the video, and I go back and correct my mistake, and I do show you that corrected title at the end, where I had to peel up the letters and it tore up some paper, and so I had to sponge some green behind it, but my title is spelled correctly for going into my album. And those of you that know me that are, smiling to yourselves right now of, sure enough, that's what Amanda would do. Yes, I did misspell my title. Add some journaling here of just how it was always a dream to get chosen for this, and I always felt it was the popular people that got chosen and I wouldn't have a chance for it, but I auditioned anyhow and did get selected, so very excited. When I was looking for my lace border, I saw this butterfly die cut, and so again I layered 2 layers of the cardstock and created these butterflies, and I just think it helps again give some movement to the page and finalize things. I haven't changed the word yet, but here you go. Now you can see that I spelled it correctly and it's album ready. If you like what you see, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Here's how you can connect with me on social media platforms. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, you have an opportunity now to click that red button. If you have subscribed, thank you so much. You make my day. I love reading your comments. Be a blessing. Be good to yourself.